Hello, my name is Adam Klassen, and I want to thank you today for allowing me to address members of the leadership on my proposal for Information Security Awareness and Training Program. Today I'll be covering common security issues that we face, how I propose that we address these issues, the components I developed for the Information Security Awareness and Training Program, and finally we'll outline an implementation process for the proposed Awareness and Training Program. So let me just share my screen here. Perfect. So, common security issues. Outdated encryption measures is an issue within any organization that utilizes electronic data. The act of sending data from sender to recipient is susceptible to data sniffing, man-in-the-middle, spoofing, and DOS or DDoS attack vectors. Low oversight of or review of data sent externally. This will cause a breach in 2019. Additional data that was not needed was sent to a third-party contractor, which exposed the data of 2.5 million people. Human error. Malicious or accidental internal-external usage. Malicious ranges from employees wanting to have negative intent around their usage within the system, which can alter, delete, or steal the data. Human error, accidental, generally refers to the processes or lack of concern that the employee has while utilizing their job within the system. Insufficient training programs and policies. The organization has not formulated relevant and effective training programs or policies, utilizes outdated programs or methodology, and does not consistently update programs or monitor success long-term. Hot desking. When employees roam from one workstation to another, either using already logged in workstations or logging in as themselves, this makes log tracking, auditing, and usage of the systems and general cybersecurity efforts difficult to manage. Ineffective third-party security auditing. Often organizations do not demand verification that the third-party partners are compliant to best practice standards, which can create vulnerabilities in our own systems. Third-party access to data. A great deal of trust is placed on third-party employees that they will act with FEMA's best interest in mind, but often these employees are not investigated or researched with the same level of scrutiny as internal employees are. Allowing bring your own devices. The allowance of bring your own devices to access networks is a large vulnerability because it allows unsecured or unknown devices to access network systems and can create gaps. Outdated equipment. For the same reason, if the equipment is outdated, there could be security patches that are not done. There could be vulnerabilities that have been taken care of and mitigated but are not done because they're outdated. Infrastructure outages. Disaster scenarios often include power outages that affect the ability to operate in the field and carrying out organizational mandates. Theft of devices. Field operations are often chaotic and organizational devices may be stolen or lost. Additionally, the usage of third-party contractors inside FEMA facilities is a risk that devices may be stolen. So while there are definite security issues, I believe solutions generated here will demonstrate that we are well positioned to mitigate these risks. The requirement of managerial review of sensitive data before it is sent to third parties. Usage of AES 256 encryption will prevent brute force attack vectors, and this, with the oversight recommended, will assist in similar breaches occurring. Configure laptops, workstations, other devices so that they cannot run removable media. No outside devices are allowed while in FEMA offices and with a minimum usage in field operations. The organization will provide smartphones, laptops, and workstations that are the only accessible points to the network. Uniquely identified devices are only allowed on the network, so as if one consultant can be remotely disconnected and not usable. Require two-factor authentication with password management policy enforcing complex 10-digit passwords that are changed every 60 days. Implementation of automatic patching tools and ensure applications or program used is supported by vendor and disallowed if not. Update training program and policies that reflect evolving threat vectors while continually monitoring for training effectiveness. This includes screening candidates during hiring stage, then throughout employment. Conducting regularly scheduled mandatory training of real-world threats, audit access logs, and investigate outliers. Training should facilitate cybersecurity risks and consistently be applied. When malicious usage is discovered, immediate action must be taken to quarantine infected areas and silo the affected system. Define roles and responsibilities of system users, and periodically review access authorization and controls. If a user is no longer employed by the organization, they should no longer have access. Formulate network architecture to proactively deploy new access control, signatures, rules, blocks, and other defensive capabilities in the event of cybersecurity incidents. And finally, we have critical network sectors should be isolated from each other with the ability to quarantine different sectors as the threat necessitates. Firewalls must be placed strategically, especially around critical servers. All physical access points must contain a biometric or card reader with logs. Access to server rooms are restricted. Workstations must be locked but not in use, and personnel cannot use devices that are not given to them. Limit the data flow to known malicious IP addresses. Ensure attachments are scanned via antivirus, anti-malware, updated technology. The components of an information security awareness and training program are that there's leadership involvement, sustained commitment, feedback along with metrics, educating about social engineering attacks, ensure policy knowledge by all employees, and the training is understandable and relevant. The implementation process for the InfoSec awareness and training program consists of standards and procedures with corresponding metrics to evaluate effectiveness, such as amount of completions, overall satisfaction with the program, overall effectiveness of the material via risks averted or alerts given as metrics that can be followed. By conducting risk assessments of the organizational assets, systems, and networks, the implementation process will be more effective because the organization will know which areas to target as relevant in training as they pose the most threat. The use of technology in training modules, presentations, and communications assist in the learning process. The more effective the learning tool is, the greater investment from employees, and therefore information stays embedded in everyday actions. This can be actuated depending on the needs of the employee related to their position as one-on-one, computer-based training, on-the-job, scenario-based, or work alone. That the most important aspect is the user not be overloaded with information that can result in difficulty with the information retention. By utilizing metrics to determine success of the training program, FEMA can uncover areas of improvement with the program. If FEMA does not reinforce the material learned in the program throughout employment, does not enforce violations of standards, and is not consistent with these, then the abilities of trainees will not be consistent. As demonstrated here, I've developed an implementation schedule based on a 6-month rollout plan, assuming approval of this plan. That will demonstrate how the training program can be rolled out to FEMA. It will require collaboration within different department strata and is based on a 6-month schedule after the program proposal has been accepted and approved. It includes rollout activities, ensuring that there's space is booked, that the materials are there. And as you can see, there's different training events for the trainers, schedules created, and then the end goal is to hold the training sessions. And then after this 6 months of effective training, then I suggest another implementation schedule be put in that updates and reviews metrics, reviews feedback, and sees the effectiveness of the program. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.